Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here on Facebook at Star Nations Organization's main fan page. This is where I do about 99% of my live streams from. And so today is Wednesday, September 11th. September 11th. Yeah, the month is almost halfway over. And here in the States, you know that we turn our collective memory to all those years ago for September 11th, 9/11, right? And so as I was traveling to and from town when I took Georgie into his puppy daycare, I noticed that some of the neighbors had signs, yard signs up, blessing all those who died in 9/11 and blessing their families and that sort of thing. And so, it made me kind of think about that a little bit more. And so anyway, here we are, September 11th. And here in Tomo, Wisconsin, where I live, it is a little chilly. Yeah, we had some storms go through, and I think a cold front went through earlier this morning. And I stepped outside to come up here, and it's like, oh, kind of need a jacket. So I'm going to turn the crawler on so that everybody knows what show this is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my phone and I am going to send this live stream, our show, over to my newsfeed and also to one of the closed groups here at Star Nations. It's Star Nations live stream closed group. And so I'm going to do that right now. Hey, Deborah, it's good to have you here. On my phone, it says it's going to start soon. We already started. I think somebody needs to tell that to Facebook. Hang on. Let's see if it's gone live. It has. Good. All right. Turn down my sound. And I'm going to like it, and then I'm going to send it over to my newsfeed. Just to remind my friends, and then ask them to join, to come out and play. There we go. I'll post that. And then I'm going to send it over to our closed group, one of our closed groups. And so what we need to do is change that. There we go. And let's see, just to let the peeps know, remind them, a gentle reminder. Reminder that I'm live streaming. There we go. There. That'll do. You know where that's from, don't you? That'll do. It's something that people who train sheep herding dogs, yeah, when they say that'll do, that means that we're all done. Come on in. We're coming on in. I'm just looking at my video. It looks a little fuzzy. I think I'm going to do a refresh. Okay, guys, so hang on. I'll be back in a second. It up in a live stream. I don't know. I just happened to look down at my phone and my video looked fuzzy. I don't know what that is. Remember in the old days when something didn't quite work right and you couldn't figure it out, you kind of smack it or take something and hit the sides. It's something like that. Something like that. Hi, Deborah. Good to have you here. It's all good to see you too. And look who else is here. The app not recognizing a start stream is common. Oh, it is? I've never had it happen before. Yeah. There's always a first time, right? Shared with, oh, yay. Thank you, Deborah. That's so nice of you. Really, really nice. So today, I was kind of looking back at my day yesterday and how busy it was. But you know what? I really, really enjoyed the show last night. Talking about the magazine and sharing all that background with you guys. To me, it was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it too and learned some things about our magazine. Um, today is that 9/11. Where were you guys on that fateful morning on 9/11? Um, I was still working for the state of Wisconsin at the time, program planner, and I happened to be in one of my colleagues' cubicles. We were working on a project together, and I went over to ask her a question. And her cubicle was closer to the front of the room, huge room that we're in, closer to the reception area, right? And I just happened to be sitting in her cubicle when the receptionist came over and she says, "Oh, something just horrible just happened in New York. There's a plane that crashed into one of the big buildings there." And I said, "Oh, really? Well, that's too bad." So a couple minutes later, she comes back and she goes, "You'll never guess." She goes, "A second one hit the building right next to it." And, I'm looking at my colleague, Linda, and we were looking at each other, and I said, "Terrorism?" She goes, "It feels that way." And I said, "I know, doesn't it?" And I tell you what, working in a governmental building on that day people were very jittery and anxious, and some people actually took vacation time or sick time and went home. Me, at one point, some of you know what the size of those cubicles are. At one point, I had 8 people in my little cubicle. We were talking about the crashes and all of that and the fear and trying to work through it, right? And the thing is that everybody walked into my cube. It's like, "Oh, it feels so good in here." Well, most people didn't know I had an altar set up in my cubicle, and yeah. So right around lunchtime, I said, "Okay, you guys, I need a break. I need a break." Here I am, an empath in a state building with my coworkers who are feeling a whole bunch of fear, right? At lunchtime, I said, "I really, really need a break." And so they left. I cleared the energy in my cubicle, reset the template, and went out to grab a sandwich across the street and came back. By the time I wasn't even really completely done with my lunch when people started coming back into my cubicle. So that's kind of where people hung out, rotating around because I could only fit so many people in there throughout the day. And it's one of those times where you're never going to forget where you were and what you were doing, right? Yeah. All right. Rob, some use that as a management technique. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Huh. Rob says, "I woke up to the news. I called a friend in New Mexico who answered the phone. This better be important." Turn on your TV. Yeah. And, his friend's asking what channel, and Rob was saying, "It doesn't matter. Just turn it on." And because it was everywhere. In fact, they wheeled in a TV into our conference room so that if anybody wanted to watch what was going on, could see it. Right? Yeah. I didn't spend a lot of time in the conference room that day. Deborah says, "At work in an insurance company, we went to lunchroom and watched. People were saying it was just an accident. I believed it was terrorism." I know, right? Because you could feel it. You could feel the energy around it, that it was different. It wasn't an accident, right? Yeah. And she's going on to say, "I would have been in your cubicle too. I would have been helping hold space." Yes. I had people in there crying. I had people in there saying, that they had relatives in that area. Yeah, it was, it was a different kind of day that day. Hey, Linda, good to have you here. We were just mentioning about 9/11, and I asked the question, where were you? on that fateful morning on 9/11, because most of us, as adults, we're never going to forget where we were and what we were doing, who we were with on that day. So, yeah, the reminder, Linda, was I was driving Georgie into puppy daycare, and some of my relatives, well, they are relatives, some of my neighbors have lawn signs up, asking for blessings for both the people who were killed in 9/11 and also their families. Yeah. And the thing is that there's still fallout from it, right? It wasn't too long ago I read that the firefighters that had been the first responders during that time frame, many of them have been ill. Many of them have passed away, walked on from whatever illness that they had, and they're relating that to the chemicals and the biohazard created that day, that they were walking through it. And even if they had respirators, the respirators were getting clogged with the debris. And so, yeah, just a bit of a reflection about that today. Yeah. And I wonder, because as a space clearer and someone who I was teaching space clearing at the time, and I think I'd even started soul clearing classes at the time, teaching those, and spending some time when I got home and helping some of those souls crossing over, right? Yeah. Helping them toward the light. Okay. Well, for those of you who might not know, this is the deck that we're using by Kyle Gray, Angels and Ancestors. So the conversation that we're going to have in a moment is based around the card draw that I did this morning. And it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. I want to show you that first card. The illustrator, Lily Moses, her artwork is phenomenal. Phenomenal. So here we go. I gotta do that. There we go. Here is the first card. Mother Earth. Mother Earth. The look on her face is so serene, isn't it? Yeah. And there she is, pregnant. And she has greenery on her, butterflies on her. Her earrings, they look like earrings from a distance. See if I can get that to focus. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. That one looked like it was an earring, but they're really butterflies. There's 5 butterflies. Ivy. Oh, take that back. There's 7 butterflies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the background, up in the sky, we see a goddess, right? A fertility goddess. And this also represents the maid, mother, and crone. Mother Earth. It's about feeling loved and comforted. Loved and comforted. Yeah. When I was just looking at the picture earlier today, and I was looking at what the author, the words that they relate to this card, right, is feeling loved and comforted. And I thought, as adults, do we recognize what that feels like when we're receiving it? Feeling loved and comforted. As children, most children, they have a parent or a parent figure that provides that for them, right? They're being told, that they're loved. They're being hugged, right? They're being taken care of. They're being tucked in at night. They're being read to. Um, yeah. So as children, we definitely feel loved and comforted. Most of us did as children. As adults, though, sometimes I wonder, do we really remember what that feels like? Because as adults, many times we're giving, but we're not really receiving it, right? Um, yeah. Well, some of those spontaneous hugs, right? They don't happen all that often. Um, I got some this past weekend. Two of my nieces were down to visit my mom and her grandchildren. And we were standing chatting, and we were talking about their grandmother's status, where she is in life. And I got kind of reclapped while I was explaining a few things to them. And spontaneously, these two young women came over and just gave me a hug, right? So sometimes when you're usually the calm, grounded person in the group, and then you start to show the emotions, a lot of them don't know what to do. They don't know, should I hug her? Should I not hug her? Should I just turn and walk away, get her a glass of water, grab some Kleenex? They don't know what to do. But these two young ladies, they came over and gave me a hug, which felt really, really good, right? And so by getting this card today, that was my thoughts, wondering how many of us as adults do we feel comforted and loved? Right? And the thing is that Grandmother Earth, Mother Earth, always does this. I don't know if you can see this, but on her shoulder, she has a spiral. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus again. Come on, there we go. On her shoulder is the spiral. And I think that's the Newgrange spiral. And Newgrange is in Ireland. It's a megalith sacred site. Yeah. Let's see. I gotta scroll up. I gotta catch up with you guys in the chat. Hang on. All right. Linda's saying, I was at work. We were talking about 9/11 at the time. She says, I was at work taking care of a 90-year-old man. His comment was, it was no accident. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love this deck too. I do. Karen, hey Karen, she says the TV was on when I got home from dropping my kids off at school. I was preparing to roast red peppers that morning. Whenever I roast red peppers, I always think of this. I know, right? And we tend to remember songs maybe that were on that day, playing that day, or even certain scents, right? Certain smells will trigger a memory too. Know what you mean? And Rob, I'm sorry, Rob. Rob says, I remember 9/12 just as much. It was the anniversary of my car accident 3 years ago that injured my hands, but healed in such a way that I could play guitar again. Oh my goodness. So you have two major things. One, global humanity, right? Trauma. And then you have your personal anniversary back to back. My goodness. Oh, I know it is a gorgeous deck. I really do like this deck. I got mine at Amazon.com. Rob says that we just got a weather advisory predicting 1/2-inch hail and 40-mile-an-hour winds. Holy smokes! I didn't realize you guys were having tornadic activity down there. I knew there was a cold front that moved through earlier this morning because it got like really, really, really dark out at 7 o'clock this morning. And you could hear the thunder, and then it just poured like somebody was pouring buckets. Buckets out. All right, let's find out what Kyle Gray has to say about Mother Earth, okay? So here's what the author has to say. The message is, allow yourself to be cherished. Mother Earth is protecting you with a shield of light and love. Feeling cherished. Do you feel cherished? Have you ever felt cherished? Do you know what it feels like, right? I would say that I am, and I have been. Paul and I are really, really good. And yeah, I can honestly say yes about that, coming from my husband. Yeah. I don't know. I might have. I might have. I will decline to answer. How's that? All right. So here's the rest of the information. He says, Mother Earth is the female counterpart of Father Sky. It's auspicious to receive this card because in the eyes and heart of Mother Earth, you are her child, and she is highly protective of her baby and will give you everything you need to grow and expand. She will give you everything you need to grow and expand. And honestly, right in just that part of that sentence is a huge belief system, isn't it? You either believe that the earth, grandmother earth or mother earth, is going to give you everything, support you completely, right? It's a belief system. And I happen to have that one. It's a pretty strong one. Or you don't. And if you don't, then do you have something in your beliefs that provides that for you? You know? Because for me, understanding that grandmother earth is here to protect us, to provide for us, to care for us, right, is a part of the very basic needs of survival. Yeah, when you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the very bottom, it's a foundational piece. Yeah. And so when we're doing our grounding, which, by the way, did you guys ground today? If you didn't, take a pause and just for a moment and do your grounding. Because when we do our grounding, we're connecting to her. And when we're grounded to her, she protects us. Consciously, we're connected to her. And we can feel her love surrounding us. And did you know that gravity, which is a part of her, it's an earth energy, right, is like being hugged. Its gravity has been said to be female as well. And so when we turn our attention, our consciousness to our connection to her, there is where we can feel being nurtured, being loved, and being cherished, right? And she does protect us. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but she does. She really does protect us, because if she didn't want us here, guys, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. If she ever got tired of her two-legged children, we wouldn't be here. Because her energy is immense. And, we talk a lot about ascension, right? And part of that ascension, if not the whole part of the ascension, is she's leading the way. She's already through the fourth dimension and heading, and has been in the fifth, kind of transitioning, kind of sliding back and forth between the fourth and the fifth. And we're following her. In order for us to be with her, to stay with her, our vibration, our resonance has to be in a certain range of hers, right? And so when when we're out of resonance with her, it feels like we are, but we're not. Can't be. When we're out of resonance with her, we're no longer in a physical body, right? Sometimes we forget about our connection to her, but we can never sever it. We can't delete it, right? Okay, Reb. Thanks for stopping in. Go do the IT thing. All right. So when we're grounding to her, right, we're consciously remembering our connection to her. It says that Mother Earth is only covered by leaves in this card, showing the vulnerability of the earth. Every day she experiences challenges that she has to adapt to and overcome. In the background, you can see the symbol of the pagan triple goddess, mated mother crone, and they can help you adapt as the changes of your life come your way. You may have felt overwhelmed or out of control emotionally recently, but you are now moving back to your natural center that will bring you to the place of clarity and openness. If you have felt ungrounded, know that Mother Earth is here to root you and help you regain your sense of strength. You're being guided to make choices that are based on love. Yeah. And much of our symptoms, the symptoms that sometimes we feel when the earth is doing an upgrade, if you will. Some of us are pretty sensitive to it. And I don't know about you, but there's times when it feels, I don't even know how to explain this. You feel a little bit wobbly, right? That's not even a good way to explain it. It's almost like you lose your sense of balance for like a split second, a millisecond, to the point where you kind of go, what was that? Because it just kind of goes, just a little bit. That's her. And that's us adjusting to her, right? Yeah. And so we get the cradling from her. She's holding us, right? And then we also have the love coming down from Grandfather Sky. And through that love, many times is where we're getting the cosmic information, the downloads, right? Downloaded light language is all coming through and from Grandfather Sky. And Grandmother Earth is still there because she's the one who is helping us to be steady and strong, to be able to take in as much of the information as we possibly can, right? Yeah. So our connection to Grandmother Earth, Mother Earth, she is the common denominator. One of the common denominators that holds us all together, every species on her body, all the plants, all the animals, all the water, everything is connected to her on Earth. Mother Earth. Do you ever wonder why I call her Grandmother Earth? It's just the reference that I grew up with, I remember when I first started reading a lot about spiritual growth and spiritualists and spiritualism and, all kinds of books, right? And they referred to her as Gaia, and that was the first time I'd ever heard that too. That's not a term I grew up with. And we call her Grandmother Earth because our physical bodies were made from her, right? So the very first human two-legged people that populated the earth, that was their mother. And so as the generations came forward, every generation past those first two people, she's the grandmother. She's Nokmis. In Potawatomi, we call her Kokmiskikan. Kokmiskikan. That means our grandmother Earth. It's kind of like saying Unchimaka in Lakota, grandmother Earth, or Mother Earth. Yeah. And so calling her grandma or grandmother also has a certain feeling to it that that we draw upon because that's how we grew up in Western society, right? About learning about that connection that you have with your grandmother. And most grandmothers have a really good, loving connection to their grandchildren, right? And so, so it kind of enhances that connection. Okay, and the second card. Now we've had this one before, like 2 days ago. Animal guardian, trust your instincts. Do you remember this card? There's just so much to look at in here. Now, there's a common theme between these two cards. And the common theme that's connecting these two cards today are the butterflies. If you take a look they look like earrings, again, really long earrings. Those are butterflies. Butterfly wings. Right? Yeah. Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. And a lot of that has to do with your intuition. And those butterflies, let's think about that one a little bit, right? The butterflies are all about transformation, right? Transformation. And in that transformation is where we have soul growth and expansion. And we want to be in expansion. Expansion has everything to do with the frequency of love. When we're in contraction, it has everything to do with fear. So we want to be in expansion. We want to feel that energy of expanding. That means that you're in your heart. Yeah, I did too, Linda. She said, I thought that they were earrings. I did too. The first time I saw the card, I did too. And, I shared this the other day, was it last week, during my Communications from Home show. We were talking about clairaudient in that show. And I was showing a picture, and I also wore one of my earrings that are very long, beaded earrings. So the longer the earrings in cards like this, or anything really, very long earrings or very large earrings are a symbol of clairaudience. And so with this card, Animal Guardian, when you take a look, at first glance, you think that those are earrings and they're butterflies, but they still represent clear hearing. Right? And who doesn't like that fawn that she's carrying? Isn't that so cute? And look, he has a mark on his third eye. Right? Got Black Panther and Raven. You got Stag and Owl. Right? Yeah. Animal Guardian. It's about trusting your instincts. And here's what Kyle says. He says, trust the powerful animal spirit within to learn more about yourself and your talents. And he says that we all have animal instincts because we're literally a part of the animal kingdom, right? We're not separate from it. It's just that we've been really highly removed from that most people don't even feel the connection between us and the animals, right? That they think that many people think that they're better than the animal, when I think we're really the same. We're equal. We have the same mothers. We have the same grandmother. Yeah, I agree, Linda. Beautiful artwork. Yeah, I agree too, Vicki. They really are very. The artist is very talented. You can see it. She's from New Zealand. Her name is Lily Moses. All right, so here's the rest of the information. He says that the card represents the angels of the animal kingdom. Angels animals are angels of nature who have incredible lessons to offer and medicine that can help support you on your spiritual journey and help you survive some of your greatest challenges. You also have instinctive animal energy within that can direct you towards everything you need and more. It says when this card arises, it's important to connect with how you really feel, how you want to feel, and what you really need. Take the time to connect with your animal energy and express it naturally. It will teach you a lot about your gifts and how you can grow. Okay? So he really is talking about expressing our emotions, because that's the part of us that has that animal instinct, our emotions, right? And when we turn our attention to them, because it's in our subconscious mind, right? Our subconsciousness, that when we turn our conscious mind to it, to really take in the information, but allow the space for your subconscious self to move about, right? That it's not, your conscious mind isn't controlling, right? And that we have the opportunity to claim our emotions and to express them, to claim them and to express them. What does that mean, right? To claim them and to express them is that no matter what you're feeling, whether it's joyful, happy, sad, depressed, anxious, joyful, whatever your feelings are, is to truly feel them, to really feel them. So when you're asking for assistance from your spiritual team to help you to shift out of whatever that lower vibration is, you're doing it in a conscious way with your consciousness, right? Rather than leaving it up to the randomness that can come from spirit. We want to leave enough room in there for spirit to move about and to do what we've asked them to do, rather than to close it off. And when we're closed off, that means that we're not in our hearts, right? So we're being gently requested to recognize those feelings, allow their expression in a good way. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be afraid. Feel the feelings and then let it go. And the more often you tune into that part of yourself, it's like exercising a muscle. The more you exercise that, your intuition, the more you begin to trust yourself. And you'll also have the opportunity um, to adjust, right? Do you remember when I was just talking a little while ago about sometimes when Grandmother Earth is doing her thing and expanding, right? Her resonance. Just a second ago, I felt it. It was like I had to close my eyes because it made me dizzy. Just for a moment, not even a moment. It was like a second, a millisecond. It was enough to notice it and to feel it. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that. And we're talking about her a lot, that's for sure. And so that part of us that still has that animal instinct, that's the part of us that can really teach us a whole lot about our spiritual gifts that we came in with. And chances are we've never connected the dots there because we need those emotions to be the fuel for our creations, right? Yeah, that law of attraction stuff. That if we're not feeling the excitement about what we're creating, if we're not feeding that flame, it's not going to come into the physical world. But as soon as we turn our attention to it, the chances of it coming in is pretty strong. Here's the third card. Hunter. Track down your fears and your desires. Now, this is definitely a masculine feeling card, right? Because he's got lots going on with him. All the ink that he's wearing, the tattoos, the spirals, which is feminine. On his forearm, I don't know if you can see that, is a snake. The necklace that he's wearing has claws and a small skull. Of course, he's holding a bow, but I don't see any arrows. Do you see any arrows? And so up at the top, that's on the cave wall, that spiral, that's known as the Newgrange spiral. That's all about creation. Track down your fears and your desires. Instead of running away from them or ducking them, name it, right? Because as soon as we put a name on something, then in our mental mind, we have something to go from, right? We have the name of it, the label, and then we can match it up with the emotions or the feelings that we have. Track down your fears and your desires. It says track down all of your fearful thoughts and feelings. When you find them, you'll find your greatest desire too. Now, this is the second deck that has this similar message. And it's about facing your fears. If you face your greatest fear and you work through it, right? You heal what needs to be healed, release what needs to be released. When you do that, you free up your energy for all kinds of creative modes, right? And just on the other side of that greatest fear is your greatest desire. And so in order to be able to connect with and to face that fear, it's much easier to take in that other aspect that's kind of behind it. The fear, which is your greatest desire. All right, so this is a hunter, right? So the hunter represents both the hunted and the hunter. Similarly, the hunter helps you connect with the energy that has both fearful and fearless. Your fears are the only things that are standing between you and what you desire at this time. And whenever I read something like that or hear about that kind of quote, I think to myself, it's true. It's true. There is nothing standing between me and what I truly desire, because I face my fears. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I do it. I do it. And so when we free up that extra energy that we've been using to keep that fear at bay, to keep it covered up, it frees up that energy that you're expending on it so that you can go out and you can create something else, right? All right. So he goes on to say that the hunter, that you're being given confidence and strength at this time, confidence and strength. So use your power to make a difference. You are not here to cower away or live in the shadows. You're here to realize your fullest potential. And by this, we can only but this can only occur when you step up and do what's needed to be done. When this card arises, there could be an opportunity to face an aspect of your past or bring closure to a situation that has been hammering you. So this very male essence card has a lot of action to it, a lot of behavior with it, right? You're literally being told to research and track down your greatest fear and your greatest desire, because those two things are connected. And so then you go on the hunt. You go on the hunt. And you start buying things that are in resonance with that change, that transformation, right? And that's one of the reasons why we had so many butterflies. So many butterflies. So he's not hunting down other animals, so to speak. He's using those skills to track his own fears and his desires. Hunter. Very interesting, don't you think? So what is Spirit trying to say to us today, right? Grandmother Earth being loved and cherished. I think it's really about those feelings, right? And anything that could be blocking you from experiencing consciously that unconditional love. Because the hunter is saying, track down your greatest fears, because just on the other side of the greatest fear is your greatest desire. And the animal guardian is saying, listen to the signs and sounds of this shift, of this change. Yeah. And the butterflies are all about transformation. And there were a lot of them in this reading. I think the only one that didn't have a butterfly was the hunter. The other two women did have butterflies. So we really have to pay attention to that, right? Yeah, fear is my blocks. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I get that, Vicki. And here is a way that I was led to, okay? When we're talking about fears, because we all have them. None of us are walking around without fears. There's something. Because you know what? The fear is also attached to our soul growth. Mm-hmm. Fear is attached to our life lessons. So when we recognize the fear, what it is, we can address it. And as we're addressing it and healing perhaps some sort of trauma, right, that was created by the fear, that when we do that and we heal it and we release it, we're releasing that layer of fear, because we have to do this in all four bodies, right? Mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And so facing those, I'm not saying it's easy. It can be if they're small. When they first pop up and they're little, that's when we should address it. But most of us, what we do is we ignore it, didn't see that, or we don't want to go there. And so we repress it or suppress it, right? Yeah. But facing those fears is where all your soul growth is, the expansion. It's where you gain your wisdom, right? And it's so much easier to face those hard things when you have support, when you have someone in your life or someone's in your life that love you, that cherish you, right? That you have a protector. Facing those fears become more manageable, a bit easier. Yeah. And we have our spiritual team too for that protection and that love as well. Both we have the physical people in our lives, the two-leggeds, and we also have our spiritual team to assist us. Yeah, and I don't know why we do that. Why we don't address it right away. We wait until we nearly get the cosmic 2x4. Here's a question. I know we're almost at the top of the hour, but I have to ask this question. When you are sensing a fear that you have, where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel it? I tend to feel mine more around my solar plexus, my stomach area. It's like you tighten up, right? Yeah, that sense of dread. That sense of dread. Linda says in her heart. Yeah, I get that too. I come from lineage, right, on my mom's side. She has a pacemaker. She's had heart failure. Her father, my grandfather, walked on from heart failure, and he had heart attacks, broken hearts on that side of the family. Yeah. Karen saying heart and gut. Yeah. Mine is more in my gut. Mine is more. It's like, oh my gosh, there it is. Or when you see the caller ID and you see who's on the other side of that call, and you're like, oh no, because you have to face something with them, right? Yeah. So whenever the reason why I bring this up is whenever you feel that feeling in your body, that is something that can be very useful to identify it, to help you to identify it and start to deal with it. And if you need help, please reach out for help, whether it's a healer of some sort, or if you need a therapist, to reach out for the assistance, right? And for those people in your life that truly love you, is to let them know what's going on. so that they can be there to support you, right? Because we're not meant to go through that stuff by ourselves. Vicky is saying she feels it in her heart. Yeah. Yeah. So identifying it, right, is a huge step. So once you identify it, don't smush it back down. Don't ignore it, right? Yeah. It's also a part of you that the animal instinct that was in the animal guardian card, that's a part of us that is primal. Animals, when they sense something that they should be fearful of, they feel it. They feel it in their body. Yeah, so once you identify it, that's huge. That's huge. It's no longer a nebulous kind of thing. You can actually put your finger on it. You can actually say, I know what that is. And once you heal it and you let it go, and one day you're walking along, minding your own business, and you have an interaction with somebody or something, and then you recognize that feeling. It's like, oh my God, I thought I dealt with that. You may have in one of your bodies, but now you're ready to take it on in the next layer, whether it's your mental or spiritual body, your emotional body. That just means that you're ready for the next layer. Yeah. Leandra is saying in her stomach. Yeah, that, mine is that clenching. It's like, it's not quite a stomach ache, but it's there, right? You can feel it. And so to recognize it and say, oh, there it is. That's what that is. It's almost like your GPS system too. You know how they say our emotions are our GPS system? That's a part of it. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. Now, there's one thing that I'm going to show you all three cards. And there's something that we've learned over the last year and a half doing these card draws, is that when I show you all the cards together, that it's useful. It's useful to bring your spiritual family, your spiritual committee, your spiritual team, all those in the unseen that are helping us, is to call them in close. They're always with us, but bring them in close and ask them to help you to receive the information that's for your highest good that's coming from these cards, and to take it in an optimal way, in an optimal amount. So you're seeing it with your physical eyes, but you're also seeing the unseen as well. Okay? All right. So call them in, bring them close. And then what I'd like you to do is to take a big, deep breath in. Right? And on the exhale, taking in the information that's relevant to you for your highest good and your soul growth from all three cards. Right? So we started off with Mother Earth, being loved, protected, and cherished. Right? And then we had the animal guardian, and that was to be aware of our animal instincts. And then Hunter came in. Hunter came in, helping us to track down those fears and desires. Because when we face our fears, when we're grounded to Grandmother Earth and we can feel her love around us, it gives us hope. It gives us courage to face what we need to face. But also being grounded to her also helps us to embrace the desires that are spiritual gifts could bring onto the earth plane, right? And really, when you look at it, the foundation piece to do that kind of healing and that kind of work all lies with the foundation of love coming from Grandmother Earth, right? It's kind of like a building block. It's a basic. Okay, there you go. Now, those of you that are good with technology and computer stuff, you can always take a screenshot of those 3 cards together and to be able to spend some time with it if you want to, right? Yeah. I know we're at the top of the hour, and I have just a couple of things I wanted to share with you, okay, very quickly. First of all, is that any of this information resonate with you, is to please embrace it, right? And watch and see how today's energy unflows around you and where this information is really helpful to you, okay? Well, and tonight, I wanted to remind you that tonight is Polly Jo LeBay's evening show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that's Soul Connections. So if you have a situation that you would like to look into and heal, you bring your intentions with you, along with your spiritual team. And the first half of the show is all about the healing guided meditation. And so you get to be able to work on your own healing, your own soul work, right? And then the second half is about the card draw. So if you enjoy getting a mini reading, you can do that. Yeah. Roberta's saying the message so far sounds lovely. We'll have to catch the video a bit later. Yeah, you're doing grandma duty today. Wow, that's cool. Good for you. You're welcome, Deborah. You're welcome. All right, so I have a question for you guys. I have a question for you. I have a bit of a change coming up, right? I have to get some time freed up so that I can work on some things for Star Nations, because we're going to be doing some expansion, all right? And in order for that to happen, I need to spend some time on it and to ground it to the earth plane. You know how to do that, right? All right, so I'm going to be reducing the time on this show to 2 days a week, all right? And so I selected Sunday and Wednesday. Sunday afternoon, because it's a good time to have a spiritual conversation, I think. And Wednesday, that's midweek, right? On the midweek one, Wednesday, how would you feel about doing dream interpretation from the closed group? Because I think when we do a dream interpretation, we need to be in a little bit more supported energy field, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. I was doing dishes, and this is the idea that popped in, is that we could do on Wednesday afternoons, we could do dream interpretation from Star Nation's live stream shows closed group, right? Because most of you are members of the closed group, and we can make sure that anybody who isn't, we can get them included in that. That's for sure. Because right now this is a very public forum, which is good. It's good because, we're drawing on the larger community, right? But if we do a dream interpretation, we may want to take it to the closed group so that we have a little bit more privacy, right? To share some of the dreams. So I don't know. I'm going to pose that question in the closed group. If you want to weigh in on that, you're more than welcome to make comments in that section. I just wanted to bring it up to you guys because this group here, you guys come and you're with me almost every afternoon that I have the show, but I wanted to extend that to you to see how you felt about it. Okay. We're still going to do the card draw, but we're going to do that on Sunday afternoons. Yeah. So Linda is saying closed group sounds good. Okay. All right. So Linda, watch for the posting. I'm going to try to get that done this evening in the closed group and to weigh in if this is something that you guys would enjoy and even benefit from, right? Is the dream interpretation. I've never done that kind of work publicly like that. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how it unfolds. And I was thinking, it must be time to use those gifts. All right. So watch for that posting in the closed group and please weigh in on it, okay? I'd like to know your thoughts and your feelings around it. Okay. So tonight is Polyjola Bay, 7 p.m. Hope you guys can join us, right? And with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And I'll meet you back here for Spiritual Roundtable tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Baba Mina, that means in Potawatomi, is until we see each other again. Love you guys.